Before starting to align the solar simulator, there are a few precautions that should be made. First, be sure to plug in the ventilation fans for the lamp and module before turning on the lamp itself. If either of the fans are not working properly, do not attempt to use the lamp. This can cause the module and lamp to overheat and break. Make sure that the module is securely fastened to a flat surface before beginning your alignment. The slightest movement can cause a disruption in every reading. Thirdly, before turning on the lamp, make sure that there is nothing in the direct path of the solar simulator's rays. They are extremely powerful and can cause fires with prolonged exposure to certain materials. As a final safety measure, we must encourage that everyone use rubber gloves to prevent smudging and that UV protective glasses to be worn at all times when operating a solar simulator. Adjusting the focus for the lamp is the first step in attaining a uniform sunlight reading. In order to do this, place a flat, non-flammable object at a perpendicular angle 22 inches away from the lamp. When you turn on the lamp, you will see a uniform circular light shining on the surface of the object with a dark spot in the middle of the light. The key is to make this spot as clear as possible. On the back of the lamp, there are 3 adjustable screws that can change the focus of the lamp. Use them to attain the desired focus for your light source. Once your desired focus is attained, remove the object so that the light is extended to the cemented mirror. Now apply a mask to the mirror where we can see the center of the light source is fixated. If it is not in the center of the mirror, you can loosen the lamp's support screws to slightly shift the direction or position of the lamp to a desired location. In addition, there are 2 screws attached to the cemented mirror that can also be loosened, allowing you to move the mirror gently. Once the light is in focus and aimed properly, shut down the lamp, but keep the fans running for a period of 5 to 10 minutes to prevent any possible heat damage. It is also recommended to remove the air filter from the module temporarily. Now place the laser pointer we provided to you as close to the center of the cemented mirror as possible, but it must also be parallel between the cemented mirror and the M1 mirror. At this point, the goal is to place the beam in the center of the 3 mirrors and gateway. This is first achieved by manually placing the laser pointer in the center of the first M1 mirror. Once positioned, the laser should not be touched again. Instead, there are 3 screws on the back of the M1 mirror that can adjust the angle of the mirror, changing the laser's trajectory without changing the mirror's location. The 3 screws in question can change the direction of the beam from left to right, up to down, or on an angle. The third mirror, called the flood mirror, however, is similar to the cemented mirror and only has 2 screws that hold it in place at the base. These can be loosened and the mirror can be moved manually to adjust the angle only. The fourth and final mirror, the M2, works exactly like the M1, 3 screws and 3 adjustable directions. The goal here is to aim the beam directly in the center of the gateway to the target. At this point, you can reinstall the air filter and assure that the beam is directly in the middle of the filter. If it isn't, there are 2 screws similar to the cemented and flood mirror available for adjustment. Once the air filter is adjusted, fasten the target so the center is directly in the path of the laser beam. Now that the mirrors are properly adjusted and the target is in range, the laser pointer can now be removed and the lamp can be turned back on. And from this point, do not touch the mirrors or module. If it is moved, the process must be restarted. At this point, we can now start to adjust the 6-sided cemented mirror to create the most uniform solar simulation within the desired target area. To do this, you will need to use the UV reader supplied to you by Sciencetech. It is recommended to use our reader due to the guide that helps with measuring the specific points of interest necessary. First, use the mask on the cemented mirror so you can isolate one mirror for adjustment at a time. There are 4 cardinal points to measure for each mirror on the target area. The top and bottom measurements are roughly for reference. The very important readings are the side readings for each mirror. The reason for this is that all of the readings for each of the side cardinal points for every mirror must be exactly the same. This ensures that the most accurate reading from the solar simulator as possible. To do this, you can adjust each mirror in a similar fashion to the M1 and M2 mirrors. There are 3 screws for each of the 6 mirrors attached to the cemented mirror. You need to adjust the screws necessary to achieve the desired UV reading for each individual mirror.